What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another training. Today, I'm going to share with you how to burn 70,000 calories in 5 months. And what I mean by that is I'm going to share with you exactly how you can lose 20 pounds in 5 months. You can gain back your energy and build unstoppable confidence. And again, less than 5 months. Now, this is taking from training over 500 plus clients. I've been a transformational coach for about 5, 6 years now. I'm going to share with you exactly how we can make this transformation happen. Now, this is specifically if you're a driven professional around the 30s or 50s aged, this is going to be for you. So let's dive right in. So there's three main areas of focus that we're going to go over today, and there's subsections in them. So we've got the weight loss, which is going to be focusing on calories slash food, routine, and movement. Then we've got your energy, and this is going to be focused on the types of foods you're eating, the sleep, and your mindset. And then the next one is we have confidence, which is going to be going over rewiring our mindset and then focusing on the right things. So I'm going to swipe back and forth as we go because this is a live training as I do all of my trainings. And again, if you like this training, if it helps you, leave a like, subscribe for more, and comment what you took away most from today. So, weight loss, diving in straight to it. We have 70,000 calories that we need to burn in 5 months. That means how I did this basically is that it takes about 3,500 calories to do one pound, right? So you need to burn off 3,500 calories, a deficit of 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. So if we want to lose 20 pounds, it's going to take us 70,000 calories burned, which then equates to 14,000 per month, which is about almost 500 calories per day that we need to be in a deficit, about 470. Okay, so I'll do my best to do the math with you guys as well as we do this. So let's say our case study, right? Let's say our case study is someone who is 180 pounds, or you know what? We'll just keep it simple math. Let's say they're 200 pounds and their first goal is they want to get to 180 pounds. Okay, so they want to lose 20 pounds. Awesome. And we know they're 200 pounds right now. They want to get to 180 pounds. So basically, what we want to do here, if we want to lose 500 or almost 500 calories per day to be in a deficit, we first want to figure out what is their TDEE, their total daily energy expenditure. And you're going to be able to do this formula if the easiest way to do it honestly is go to ChatGPT and you just basically need to insert your age, your sex, you need to enter your height. Then you need to enter your activity level. Then you need to enter your weight. And I think that might be all the details, your age, your sex, your height, your activity level, your weight. That should be all of it. Then it's going to come out with your TDEE. And this means your total daily energy expenditure. And this means how many calories that you burn, how many calories that you burn per day. Okay. So how many calories on average that your body's burning per day just by doing your natural routines, right? So your natural movement, like kind of what you have going on right now. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire formula, but let's just say that this person who's 200 pounds, they want to lose weight. So if we just do some quick math here, let's say they're decently active. Let's see here. Let's say their TDEE is around, let's say 2,500, we'll just say. So they burn 2,500 calories per day. So what this means, guys, is that basically we just need to be under 2,500 calories per day to start actually losing some body fat. Okay, if we eat less than 2,500 calories per day, then we can start dropping some weight over time. Okay, so let's say that is their total daily energy expenditure is 2,500 calories. Now we want to get up to about 470 calories per day. What's the easiest way to do that? Well, we just take out this 500, right? So now we got the client going down to 2,000 calories per day, which is about 500 calorie deficit per day, times that by 7 equals 3,500 calories per week. Okay, so now we're on track to hitting our goal. So we've got, because 5 months, 4 weeks in a month, 5 times 4 equals 20. So if we can keep that up, we will lose 20 pounds in 5 months. And mind you, if you're 200 pounds and you want to lose at more than 20 pounds, it's totally doable in less than 5 months. We're just keeping it easy here today. So now we know our numbers. Now we know what we're looking at. Let's dive into the good stuff. So first of all, we want to go over calories and food. So we just covered what our calories are, what we need, what our focus is. Mind you, you will have to adjust as you go because your body will naturally adapt. So usually around probably month 2.5 to 3, you're probably going to want to adjust your calories. And what I mean by that is that you just got to cut them back by probably about an extra 200 per day, maybe 300 or so eventually, and just keep slowly adjusting. If you hit a plateau for over 2 weeks, you're doing things perfectly, but your weight's not moving, just cut your calories back by about 200, maybe 300 maximum, and you'll break that plateau. Or you can add more movement in, you can control your stress better, optimize your hormones. Those will also help kind of speed up things, but that's the easiest way to go about it, is just make that quick cut. So we're going to go over calories, food plan, routine, and movement. Okay, so let's go over routine and we'll build the food plan inside of it. Okay, so let's say this person is someone who they do like to eat breakfast. Okay, so they don't like to fast. They want to eat breakfast. Let's say they don't have really any major health issues, so we can do fasting days. Okay, and let's say that one of their struggles is night snacking. Okay, so that's the situation, and they want to eat, let's say they want to eat at least 3 meals per day. Awesome. So here's what we're going to do for the routine. Just keep, and there's so many styles, right? So I just want to let you know, like, this is an overview, but everyone is so personalized. Everyone is so different and unique. You got to find out what's going to be sustainable for you. That's why the systems like that we do at Coach Hayward and our programs, yes, we have a system for a program, the Dream Self Creator, but it's customized to each individual. It has to be if we want real lasting change. Everyone's different. So what we're going to do with this client here is we're going to start it with a 12-hour eating time frame. Okay, so let's say they're going to bed at 11 p.m. and let's say they're getting up at 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say they're getting up around 6:30 a.m. Okay, and they got to be at work by 9 and they work till 5 p.m. Okay, so this is work. Okay. So what we're going to do here is, let's say we have our last meal of the day. So if we know they're snacking at nighttime, here's the easiest fix is, okay, 11 p.m. So 10, 9, 8. All right, 7:30 will be the last meal of the day. So this is what we're going to do, 7:30 p.m. last meal. And then what we're going to get them to do also is get into the habit and the routine. Brush teeth. Make sure you're consistently brushing your teeth, especially after those last meals. It will kind of automatically notify your mind of like, hey, we're done eating for the day. I had a client who was 200 pounds, and by doing this simple act of brushing her teeth consistently after her meals, it completely transformed her relationship with food, her snacking, and her hunger cues. So that's what we're going to focus on there. So given that we know the last meal of the day is at 7:30, then we want breakfast to be, if we're doing a 12-hour time frame, 7:30 a.m. is meal 1. Okay, so 7:30 and then 8, 9, 10, let's say 11, 12. Let's say there's someone who doesn't get crazy hungry. They can, let's say in between these hours here, they're going to have caffeine. So they have coffee to keep them full, maybe a little protein during the day. And then around 12 p.m. or so, they'll have lunch. Okay, so let's say that's the average. Maybe they'll have a snack in between these meals, but because, from 12 to 7:30, you're probably going to get pretty hungry. So maybe we can add in a little snack here as well. All right. So here's what we're going to do first and foremost is we're going to set their calories up on a 7-day average. Okay, a 7-day average. And here's what I mean is, instead of trying to be perfect with the numbers, because we're going to add in a fasting day here as well, right? So instead of trying to be perfect with the numbers every single day, we'll look at this as 7-day average. So if they need to burn, so they're trying to eat 2,000 calories a day. So we times that by 7, and that equals 14,000. So they need to have 14,000 calories per week. We know now that one of their days, so we'll say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So let's say we know how their personality works, and Saturday they want a cheat meal. Okay, cool. So what we'll do then is that day we'll leave space for them to have 3,000 cows. Okay, and we can even call that a refeed day. So we take that 14,000, we minus 3,000. Now we're down to 11,000 calories for the week. Now, they're also going to do a fasting day. Okay, so they're also going to do a fasting day, which is automatically going to cut 2,500 calories because we know their TDEE is 2,500 calories. So if they have no food that day, they're going to have an extra, they're going to cut out that extra 2,500 at least, right? So we minus that out, and we'll say the that day will be Mondays. Okay, so Monday will be the fast. All right, cool. So now we have 8,500 calories left to split up between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Divide that by 5, you got 1,700 calories a day. Okay, so now we're eating 1,700, but we also have a cheat meal in place because this client likes to go out with their family, we'll say. So they have a cheat meal in place, and they're also doing a fasting on Monday because they can and they want to, and they want to speed up things. So this is their plan. Okay, cool. So 1,700 calories. Well, if we're having 3 to 4 meals a day and we are having breakfast, we want at least 35% of our calories, if not 40% for breakfast. So we want to start our day off with a very, very high protein breakfast. So let's do and get the calories over with. This will help with how they feel, they function. And studies showed automatically it's going to help speed up weight loss as well. If we start a day off with a high protein and a high calorie breakfast as well, it can really help. So let's say 1,700 times, let's say 35%. So now we're having 595 calories for breakfast. Okay, so 1,700 minus 595. Awesome. Now we got 1,105 calories left. So let's say for lunch, we have another 500 calorie meal. Okay. Or let's say even for lunch, we have 550 calories. Or no, we'll keep it at 500. Yeah. So lunch, 500 calories. Okay. And then now we're down to 605 calories left. So we can decide, right? Will I have a small supper? And maybe I'll have let's say I have a 130 calorie shake. So the snack here is 130 calories. It's a protein shake. And then we have 475 left for our last meal of the day, which is around 7:30. So that's our last meal of the day, our calories on average. Okay, so what we're going to do for the structure, so that's kind of how we're going to set up the routine and the calories and the meals and kind of get that all incorporated, right? So now what we're doing is we're knocking off the night snacking. We're getting that under control. We have the fasting days. We have the breakfast they want, the 3 meals a day. Everything's on track perfectly. To keep them full, we're going to utilize caffeine. We're going to focus on keeping them in the groove and the movement. And we're also going to get their body adjusted to this new way of eating, which is automatically going to help them function and feel much, much better. Also, it's super sustainable because they can still have their cheat meal with their family, so they're not feeling left out and neglected, right? They're staying dialed in through the week. They know how many calories they need, and they start their Monday off strong with a fasting day. Awesome. We stick with this routine here, and we're going to lose that weight. We're going to lose that weight. So now this is what I call structure, right? So we have structure. Everything's all set up properly. So going back here, so now we've covered calories in our food. Now we've covered our routine, right? And now we can even add on top of that movement. So here's another thing is that we could even, if we decide that we want to add more movement, right? So let's say that person was training only 2 times a week, and that's how many calories they're burning per day. Well, let's say we want to train now 4 times a week, right? The average training session, let's say you might burn, we'll say you burn around 300 calories. So you're going to burn an extra 600 calories per week now, 3 times 2, right? 300 times 2, 600. It's because you add in those extra 2 training days. So now you're not only going to lose 20 pounds, you'll lose even more, okay? Because you're burning that extra 600 calories a day. So what you could do is you could either add some of that back into your calories if you want, if you keep out that movement, or you can just get the cherry on top and lose weight even faster. Okay? So that's what we're going to do when it comes to our weight loss and our food setup. Amazing. Now let's talk about energy. Okay? So energy, types of food, sleep, and mindset. So here's what we're going to do for energy. Okay? So for energy, we've got types of F, which means I'll just put food so you're not confused. So we got types of food, right? we've got our focus, as in mindset, and then we've got our sleep. All right, well, let's break this down real quick. Types of food, here you go. So if we're having breakfast, lunch, small snack, and then dinner, here's what we want. So breakfast, lunch, snack, and then dinner. For breakfast, we got to have high protein and some good healthy carbs that are real good carbs, not refined carbs, right? The last thing here, I should almost just tell you what you should not do, because most of us know what we need to do. So maybe focus on what not to do, right? So we do not want refined sugar in the morning. We do not want refined sugar in the morning. Okay, that's going to spike our blood sugar levels and then quickly drop them. And then that's going to spark hunger. It's going to mess with us through the whole day. All right. Next thing is for our energy levels too. We can even utilize caffeine, right? You can utilize caffeine if you don't have any issues. You're allowed to. Just don't have any after 3 p.m. Okay, because that's when it might mess with your sleep. So even for lunch too, you do not want heavy carbs. You want high protein again. Okay, so you want high protein again, and then you want solid carbs. What I mean by solid carbs is eat from the ground. So maybe there's some potatoes, maybe a little bit of rice, something that's quick, easy, not so heavy. The things that you want to avoid for lunch would be like pasta, because that's very heavy, right? It makes you tired. It makes you comfortable. It makes you want to go sleepy. So we want to avoid that. If anything, maybe have the pasta for dinner if you're going to have pasta, right? And then for dinner, again, it can be more so balanced where you have the protein, you have your carbs and whatnot, and go for it. But the biggest thing when it comes to your types of food is respect the 80-20 rule. 20% of the time, eat for taste if that's what you desire. 80% of the time, eat for fuel, right? And keep it super simple. Protein first, and you want to make sure it's clean, as in like eat your meats, your chicken, steak, stuff like that. You don't want to. You want to try to get away from the processed stuff that has nitrates, stuff like that. That's damaging to you. So like hot dogs, stuff like that, right? That's damaging. That's not really the best kind of protein. So the next one is when it comes to eating for fuel is carbs. Just think of how can I eat from the dirt? Okay, how can I eat from the ground? What's as natural as possible, right? So staying away from the processed stuff as much as possible, eating as natural as possible. So like staying away from white bread, stuff like that. Okay, pastries, all that stuff, right? Processed foods. We know this stuff. I don't need to dive too deep into it because most of us, especially the people I work with, the driven professionals, like you've been working on this, right? So you already know this stuff. So I don't need to go so heavy into it. But that's the kind of the types of foods that we'd want to focus on. Okay. Now for sleep, number one is if you're able to, I can never tell you what to take, but if I was in the situation, magnesium, I'd take about 400 milligrams per night. I'd take glycinate, typically is what I'd want to focus on. Magnesium glycinate, one of the best game changers. You can take, melatonin. But the biggest thing with sleep is you want to get here. You know what? We're just going to do an entire thing on sleep real quick. So for sleep, here's kind of the perfect routine is you got to be consistent with your times. And that means your sleep plus wake. Even through the weekends, you want to try to wake up and go to sleep around the same similar times to get into that good routine. Next is adapt. Oops, sorry about that. Adapt to what works for you. So what I mean by this is that there's four types, okay, of people and how we sleep and function, okay? You've got the dolphin, which is like the insomniac. The dolphins really struggle. You don't really get that good of a sleep. You're probably going to need some meditative practices before you go to bed, some wind down practices, making sure everything's properly set up. And then you've got the bear. The bear is like the average person. Okay, so the bear might go to bed around 11 p.m., wake up around, 6, 7 a.m., something like that. You got the lion. The lion is the early riser up at 4 a.m., in bed around like 8 p.m. Okay, and then you got the wolf, which is the night owl. The wolf is typically someone who loves to stay up late. Maybe you're up until 1 a.m. You don't want to wake up till like 9 a.m., something like that. Try to respect, I know everyone, we have jobs and stuff like that, but try to respect your natural rhythm, okay, and how you typically function and build it off that. But you want consistent times. You want to adapt to what you can. You can take supplements if you want, or get it from your food. You get your magnesium, right? You've got your melatonin. There's zinc. There's so many that we could take, but basically the main ones I can think of right now is magnesium, melatonin, super, super good. L-theanine maybe, or is it? Scratch that one. We'll just stick to those two for now. Okay. Other things with sleep is you want morning sun. Okay. This is going to help with, what is it? Like your melatonin release or your circadian rhythm on how your body functions with like going to bed when the sun goes down, getting up when the sun goes up. So morning sun in your eyes, super, super good. Also move, get the energy out of your body in the day, right? So exercise, walk, just make sure you're moving to get that energy out of your body. You can do a brain dump for your sleep. So if you're someone who has a lot on your mind, a lot of anxiety, you can brain dump where you journal, you meditate, read. Next things that you want to do, keep very aware of, is your lighting. Okay, we're all over the place with the with my spelling today, so I'm just going to make a light bulb, all right? So because you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the lighting. So when it comes to your lighting, you want to try to shut off the lights like 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours before you go to bed. Try to keep it that's more natural lighting, like the red kind of lighting. That's more natural. Okay. But try to get away from artificial lighting. Try to get off your phone as much as possible. Try not to watch TV too close to your face, like 10, 12 plus feet. Maybe wear blue lens glasses, but make sure you're shutting off the artificial lighting. Next thing is with stress. So be careful of what you're consuming at nighttime. Social media with all this crap nowadays, and it's just going to cause you to get stressed out, anxiety. You're not going to sleep good that way, right? So be very careful of what you're paying attention to the hours leading up to bed. But plain and simple, this should be enough to help you just get your sleep on track to a good enough point. And if you need any more, I mean, it's fair to say just get some help and some coaching, and it will be a game changer for you. But that is first section first when it comes to sleep. Now, the next thing when it comes to your energy is, so we talked about types of food as well for energy. So the last one that we got to talk about is your mindset, and then we can move on to confidence. So for your energy, what I mean by this is energy, focus. Okay. We only have so much mental energy, mental willpower per day, right? You've got like a battery. This is why it is so hard at the end of the night when nighttime comes around, right? So we've got the Z's when nighttime comes around, because what happens is that battery throughout the day, sorry, it's blue. Oh, well, it drains. And that's why your willpower falls, and it's harder to say no to things like snacks and stuff like that. So where is your energy going on a daily basis? Okay. And what I mean is it focusing on growth, joy, stuff that excites you, that you love to do, movement and stuff that you love to do. Because all these things, what they're going to give you back is more energy, right? They're going to give you more energy. Or is your focus going on stress, struggle, right? Just mind battles, I call them. Beating yourself up, overthinking, procrastinate, all this stuff. Where is your focus going? Again, the media, the state of the world, all this stuff. Because where your focus goes, your energy flows, right? Your environment plays a big role on our energy levels. Who you hang out with plays a big role. These things are either, you ever hang out with somebody who you feel like you're just drained after? Or you ever hang out with someone after and you're like, I feel so freaking inspired. I'm ready to go crush it. So that's what I mean by your energy. That's how important it is. But I made a whole section on it. Is you got to be very careful is where your mental energy is going, specifically your focus. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the energy. And now let's move on to the last one, which is confidence. So with confidence, so rewiring and counting wins. All right, so think of confidence like this. So for confidence, think of it like this. People say you lack confidence. There's no such thing as lack of confidence. You're just putting your confidence in one area or the other. Okay? You're either confident that you're good enough or you're confident that you're not good enough. But it's not that you lack confidence. Your confidence is just being put in different places, right? Think of it like energy. That energy is getting put in different places. And remember, confidence is not like I'm perfect. Confidence is when I enter this room, I'm confident that I'm going to figure it out. So when it comes to confidence, understanding this is where do you put your confidence into and why? Right? So one thing that we can start doing to shift it is stack wins. Stack wins every single day in your morning routine, things that you're grateful for, things that you're proud of, weekly reflection plus win count. So with my clients, we have Wednesday wins, and we just share wins. And we're always sharing wins. Stack the wins. Focus on the good. We know the bad's there. We know the struggles are there, right? They're not going to go away. Eventually they will. That's the goal. But focus on the wins. Okay? So that's a huge thing with confidence is focus on the wins. Build a stack of proof to know who you are. Next thing with confidence is stick to promises. Okay? I can't even write this morning, guys. Promises. Okay? So stick to your promises. You don't want to be that friend who tells someone like, hey, meet me here, and then you don't show up, and you don't show up, and you don't show up, and the next thing you know, your friend's like, I don't trust you anymore. I can't rely on you. You don't want to be that way with yourself either. So stick to your word. Stick to your promises, plain and simple. If you say you're going to do something, follow through on it. Next thing with confidence, though, is your programming. And this is what I talk about in a lot of my trainings, is usually there's a limiting belief or some sort of fear that's causing you to close off on your confidence. All right? So how this would work is basically, if just a quick way to do it is if you take your goal self and your current self, okay, goal self, current self, and your goal self acts, feels, thinks a certain way, right? And that's who you want to become. So when you visualize them, when you write down your goals, how you want to think, how you want to feel, that's who you want to become. That's what's most aligned with who you. Now you write your current self, right? Maybe there's a certain action that you're doing that you know is not serving you and who you want to become. Maybe there's a certain way that you feel about yourself or think, right? So let's say one of them is like, I just feel sad. I feel like I suck. Okay. Ask yourself the simple question to change the story, right? What must I believe to be true in order to think this way about myself, that I suck? Oh, well, I must believe that I'm not good enough. Okay. Well, is that universally true? No, it's not universally true, which means the whole entire universe, the whole entire world does not agree upon that you are not good enough. You were not born into this world automatically given a stamp of you're not good enough. So that means that it was programmed into you some sort of way down the line of your history here, right? You living here. But it's not universally true. So we can let that go. Because what happens is that if someone who believes that they're not good enough, how do you think they're going to think? They're going to think like, I suck. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'm not confident. They're going to think, they're going to feel sad. They're not going to feel motivated, right? They're not going to feel confident. And then they're going to act that way as well. And that's the results they get in their lives. So if we can change these internal wiring patterns, this is like the number one most important thing to change. We change these and we get more in line with our actual natural true selves, which, well, if it's not true that I'm not good enough, what must be true? I already am good enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. Okay, well, that feels a lot better. And that's going to help you have more empowered thinking and feeling. And naturally, it's going to change how you take action in this world as well. So that's what I mean by the rewiring process. Now, I could go so deep into it, but there's so many other trainings I made on my page, so I would love for you to just go watch those there so you can have a full understanding of it. But team, that is exactly what we would do. So basically, in these next 5 months, right, these are the things that we would focus on to lose the 20 pounds Okay, so the 20 pounds we're going to lose by the food setup, the proper food setup, the proper routine, making sure the calories are on track, right? And having a system in place that's sustainable. Okay. And then the next thing is, so we got the routine, calories, food, everything's all set up there. And then for energy levels to get that back up, we're going to focus on the types of food, right? We're going to focus on our sleep and our mindset. I didn't even add fitness into this. And fitness is a huge part of it, right? Movement, I guess, and that's a huge part of energy. So that's just an extra cherry on top. And then the last one we've got is our confidence. And how we're going to build that back up is you'll naturally build confidence by losing weight, by sticking to your routines and your promises, but also by doing the rewiring process, counting your wins, stacking the wins, right? And going through that there that I mentioned. And that is exactly how you will wake up 5 months from now as a completely different person. You will think, feel, and be completely different. I can promise you that. So that is the training for today, team. If you like this, please leave a like, a subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what really hit home for you, what helped you best, where you might be feeling lost. And if you want to apply for some transformational coaching to work with me and my team, there's a link down below, and I'll see you on the next training.